Are you ready?
I am ready.
I am ready. This is the John Peckman Podcast. I'm your host, John Peckman, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, start looking left if you're watching us on YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. We are here with a Wallingfordite, like myself, Wallingford, Connecticut, Wallingford Zone, Joe Delaney. Here he is.
Yes, thank you.
Delaney.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Man, so me and Joe basically grew up together, I would say.
Yeah,
Wallingford.
We tracked through the Wallingford path to whatever our path is now.
Yeah, whatever our path is now. But Joe, I don't even know, guitar player, singer, writer, producer, studio owner back in the day, which we're going to get into. What else are you?
Dad, husband.
Hey, dad, husband.
Businessman.
Scorpio.
No. I'm a Sagittarian.
Oh, the most philosophical
of all the signs. I knew that was going to trigger that. No, we're there's a musician side and the artist side and all that, but the family side, which is allowed me to perpetuate existing, which allows the artist side to continue as
That's
well.
Right. Somehow, yeah. I guess I'm the end of the line, so it ends with me. But whatever.
Well, you're making the best of it.
Yeah, this had to end at some point. We've had enough of this. Whatever this is, we've had enough. So just take us to, how did you get involved with music in Wallingford? How did it all happen? Your family, like how?
I guess it's probably the same type of exposure that other people get. I mean, my mom had a really cool record collection.
Oh,
she had
helps.
She had a hip collection of 45s. So, when I was little, there was cool stuff playing. I mean, my mom would joke, she went and saw Wilson Pickett in 1964, 65 in New Haven. She's like, it's like, let me tell you, I was the only, me and my friend were the only two white girls there. Yeah. But she had a pretty deep Stax and and Motown collection and cool. Other stuff. Like my earliest memory of a song is a little later stuff, but is Blood, Sweat, and Tears is like my earliest like music memory is.
That's cool.
What goes up?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
So that's that's how the initial spark of like interest in it at all happened, was just really those 45s, and then when I was old enough to like kind of go through them and put them on myself, I just kind of went on the big exploration.
Sure. Guitar first.
Guitar first, yeah. The guitar first. Someone said to my mom or something, hey, you should have him try play guitar. And,
yeah, right.
I did it for a little bit, and then it didn't really, I liked it, but I don't know, I got steered in other directions. So I had kind of a odd start, and then an odd start and stop with it. With lessons and stuff that. And then,
where did you get lessons in Wallingford back in the day?
Who was it? What was the place?
Below Archie Moore's?
No, it wasn't below Archie Moore's. It was right by where the J Carver's is now. That was the old
Music
brass
Inc.
Rail. Music Inc. They used to be where it was the old brass rail.
Yep.
And
me too.
I took some lessons there, and then stopped for whatever reason. I think like sports got in the way.
Yeah.
I was way into hockey because
and you had too many teeth. You're like, I got to get rid of some of these.
I was just angry, and like music didn't. It wasn't fixing the anger part.
Yeah,
the way that like physically
Smashing
attacking
somebody.
people. And getting away with it and getting applauded for it.
Right. Or at worst, just being told to sit down for a little while. And then
it's like, oh my God, you broke that kid's collarbone. You got to sit down for 90 seconds.
This is great.
Yeah, it's like no consequence.
That's
violence.
Wow, great. That's cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
One way to deal with it. But then later I figured out how to, channel that same energy into
break someone's spirit rather than just their collarbone.
Well, I mean, we'll get into songwriting later.
Right.
No, I meant like once I was playing live, I was like, oh, this is kind of the same. Like you want to, like, as the old timers would say, you go out there and you cut heads. It's your killing floor.
Yeah.
Like take it with that kind of attitude. Really,
yeah, sure. Yep. Yeah, just go for it. Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I can imagine that.
I mean, the rock and roll thing is, an attack with reckless abandon. I mean, the greatest shows I've ever seen. There's like an element where, like, the train seems it always is just about to go off the tracks, but never does. And that's the excitement.
What was your first experience with that? That you were just like, whoa, this is dangerous. Wasn't Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
No. Where really, it was that same stack of records though. And, I think Little Richard is still about as dangerous as it gets.
I agree. That did it for me too.
I mean, that stuff comes on and it just rips your head off.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that when I was a little kid too. I would freak out. I would hear Little Richard
it's Saturday night and I just got paid. And it starts freak out. It just blasts.
Mm-hmm.
And the older kids were listening to, at the time when I was just coming into a teenager, I mean, there was really cool stuff that I got into. It was all the Deep Purples and Sabbaths and all that type of stuff. But like the thing that kind of grabbed me early, like that type of thing, was ACCDC, because like I heard that and it's like, wow, that's like that's everything I love about like what I hear with like a Little Richard or like all those songs or James Brown or whatever. It's just it just comes at you. And Bon Scott and the band just had that, especially Bon Scott had that thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So that kind of blew me away.
I agree.
So
I remember, I understood this later, but I remember being like 12 or 13, they used to have this thing. It was syndicated, but we thought ACDC was in the studio. But it would be like ACDC guest DJ. And I forget who was on, but I mean, I remember listening to it on my clock radio, like, oh, ACDC did and all they played was Little Richard songs. And I was like, why are they playing this old stuff? And then I'm like, well, it took me years to just go, well, yeah, that's what they would play. What else? What are they going to play? Uriah Heep? It's like, no, dude.
Especially Bon Scott. Bon Scott is just, he's just cut from that same thing.
I agree. I mean, I love ACDC. I mean, I have nothing against Bruce Johnston. He enabled them to, but I'm Bon Scott. That's me.
I'm totally Bon Scott. I mean, look, they did great records. All the records are great.
Sure.
But I mean, it has a progression. And at Highway to Hell, I mean, I know a lot of people like Back in Black's this amazing thing, and it is.
Sure.
But like Highway to Hell, even the song Highway to Hell, I mean, that might.
I agree.
It might even be where rock and roll peaked. Period. I don't know. You could make an argument for 1981. It's like kind of the end of it.
Could be. You know what? You might be right. Yeah. Yeah, that could have been. Was that 79 probably?
It was like
something like that.
Or is that 80? 79, 80?
Yeah. Because Bon Scott died in 80, I believe.
80, yeah, so it was right around.
Oof.
Yeah, so.
Right I know. I'm with that. Yeah, Highway to Hell. Yeah, I like Back in Black, but Highway to Hell, that's the one.
I mean, I gravitate towards the Bond stuff. I sing the Bond stuff, and it feels right. I don't know how Brian Johnson sings. I mean, it's like, how do you even do that?
No, he doesn't know.
The guy's like, it's like he turns on the spare throat.
Right.
That's next to the regular
throat.
The
reserve. Yeah.
I don't know.
The reserve throat.
I don't know.
That's crazy. That's cool. So, ACDC.
There's like 3 little guys in his throat that make that.
Yeah, and then one takes a nap. Yeah, they just go in
the other
shifts.
2 just go.
Yeah. Maybe. Could be. Could be. That's wild. Yeah. Rainbow, Black Sabbath.
Rainbow, Sabbath, Purple. I mean, anything with Blackmore. On the guitar end.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
so let's do that.
on the guitar end, like anything with Blackmore was just.
So he was your guy. Like that was the first.
He was the guy. Yeah, he was the guy, and I found him first, and then I got hit with the Van Halen thing and forget about it.
Yeah. Even I did it. Even as a drummer, even I did.
Yeah,
it's like there was you couldn't.
Like,
couldn't get around it.
So yeah, I mean, as far as guitar players, I mean, those two guys definitely, and Angus.
Sure.
And then, like, I was young, so I didn't understand how important Malcolm was. It was just all ACDC guitar. But then later, I drilled very far deep into the Malcolm thing, which is more important.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things.
And then Keith, Keith Richards, after a little while, became a massive influence.
Yeah.
It's not the skill or anything. I mean, it was really just looking at what really taking apart what he's done. And it's just the riff. I mean, the riff. It's just, I got into it with Blackmore and
excuse me,
and Van Halen and a bunch of other guitar players, but then like you get into the Keith thing and it, like the depth of how many, like, you don't have to be a guitar player, you don't have to be a musician, like riffs that just anybody gets. And that's and Blackmore had that too. It's like, people who aren't guitar players hum Smoke on the Water and understand what it is, and like it's and for Keith it's the same thing with Satisfaction and like, but Satisfaction and then 45 other ones.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the Stones for sure. So how did you stopped kind of getting into guitar, and then when did you jump back in?
I jumped back in right like preteen, 11, 12. I started really early.
All right.
Like 7, 8. And then, I still kind of putzed with it, but the lessons stopped for a bit. And then like I was begging to take lessons again and do it for real by the time I was like 11.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't put it down. And then then it was all over.
Wait, lessons again, or you just did it yourself?
No, I took lessons again, although I didn't go back to the same place. And I just, I didn't really want to take, this is actually something, I didn't want to like take a lesson program. Like all I wanted to do was like go like learn a bunch of stuff that is the best of what one person kind of has to offer, and then just go to the next guy and just burn through people. And and like, what do you do that's cool? And like, okay, cool, and move on.
And then you just put it together.
And just move on and move on and move on. So through all that time as like a teenager, and it's probably 7, 8, 9 different teachers.
Anybody of note that you want to talk about?
I did spend a little time with Jimmy Bell. He was.
I want to get him here.
I'll tell him to come. Yeah,
do it. I don't know him that well, but I would love to.
Jimmy's the best. Jimmy's the best. He just played on a track I got coming out, actually. You know what? I took lessons from him, and then I did my own thing for a long time, and now I've come like full circle, and it's like sometimes I'll get to in a song and get to like, and it's like, oh, I got to put a solo in there, and like I'm not thinking of anything. It's like, why bother?
He'll have 50 million ideas.
He'll just burn through. And and I get to watch in awe.
Yeah.
But I spent some time with him. It's funny. I was like, we have a mutual friend, Dan Formica.
Yeah.
And Dan was like his best student because Dan would learn everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we joke because I was his worst student. Because like funny. Be like, okay, you gotta do the exercises if you want to like play fast. And it's like, I don't want to play fast. I just want to play, cool
right.
I just want to play cool stuff.
Show me that. Play loud. How do I play loud?
Show me the cool stuff. What's that? Yeah. Show me the lick in.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What's the lick in the turnaround on Beat Around the Bush? Oh, it's this. Okay. Yeah. That was an awesome lesson.
Yeah, exactly. No, I hear you. I was kind of the same way, in a way.
I probably should have learned more traditional and learned. Well,
but do you think before, and then we're going to get into other things you do, but if you did that, maybe you would just be a guitar player.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like
all I wanted to do, and I figured this out really early, was really didn't care about like everybody. Like I was playing guitar, rock guitar, in the dawn time of Ingbe. Like that was the time. So to put like guitar playing and rock guitar playing in perspective, like that's what was going on. And all I wanted to do was have a style where if someone heard me, they knew it'd be me. That's all I ever wanted.
Right.
Like, because I knew the difference. Like, I could hear 2 bars of Blackmore, know it's him. 2 bars of Van Halen, know it's him. 2 bars of ACDC, know it's him.
I got you.
2 bars of Hendrix, all the way down the line.
That's right.
And like, that's what attracted
more of an artist path.
That's what attracted me to different guitar players. It was the guys who were so unique that like all the greatest guitar players I know would just argue about what they did. All the time, because it was even like hard to even nail down. It was like almost ethereal.
Yeah.
Like the Page thing. It's like
yeah.
It's like,
he's not the best, but
like Blackmore, Page, it's like no one still to this day, most people don't play Smoke on the Water right, even though it's the Whole Lot of Love. Most people don't even play it like it's
right.
It's even more confusing and weird than you'd think. It's like taking the simplest things and like you really take it apart. It's like, wow, that's really
why
bizarre,
it is,
and this is why it's so special and unique.
Whoa. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Jeff Beck.
I love Jeff Beck, and I got into him more on the Jeff Beck group side.
Sure.
Because, and I always thought there was something cool about that type of British singer. Rod Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Or Steve Marriott.
Yeah,
or
sure.
Paul Rogers, those guys that had this but and Plant and whatever, like these guys that had this like weird bluesy yelp to them.
Yeah.
And like that kind of rock, I always kind of dug it. So the early Jeff Beck stuff I thought was amazing.
Yeah. You didn't go into the fusion.
That was not the period that grabbed me. I thought it was great, but I'm like, okay, well, he's a jazz guy now. It's great, but like this isn't really my thing.
When you're talking about styles, like to me, he's one of those, like as a non-guitar player, like Jeff Beck's one of my favorites just because I can pick him out.
It's eras of it though. It's like, I mean,
that's true.
The early era, he's like one of the architects of like modern rock guitar.
Yeah.
And then he's part of the invention of jazz fusion.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know what you call the modern like phase after Guitar Shop. That's hard. It's like, that's a style that only he does, that only anybody could do.
Right? Yeah. You okay? There you go. We got some. Oh, the ring light. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
hey, now. Hey, boo. All right. Sorry. We forgot that.
No worries.
Yeah. It's good. Clapton. No. You don't have to. I'm just.
No, this is great because this is fun. Clapton. Look, I mean, Live Cream. I mean, the tone and what he's doing is awesome. The Cream stuff is great. I mean, there's some great stuff that he's done over the years, but man, give me a pillow. That guy puts. I mean, seriously, that guy puts me to sleep.
Right. That's not
like I went to see a concert. I fell asleep during a concert.
Wow.
And it's like it's not supposed to be like that.
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean.
And then later on, people have asked me that before. It's like, oh, Clapton and everything, and I'm like, I don't know. It's Cream and like it's Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker too. Like I like Cream.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm like into Tales of Brave Ulysses, not like
right. Lay Down South.
Lay Down South. Yeah. It's just just for me, it just goes into like a weird. And you know what? I guess it's that. It's that era, that specific time of the 70s where a lot of that kind of happened anyway.
Yeah, so, I know.
I mean, I don't mean to slight him, but like Jeff Beck and like Eric Clapton in the same sentence. Not really, not so much.
I kind of agree, I must say.
Now, Vaughan.
Ooh.
Now, that guy.
That's another one, too. Just as a drummer, there was no
that
escaping
guy
that.
Channeled the spirit from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big influence. I mean, I thought he was amazing, and went and saw him a few times.
Oh, nice. I never did.
Here's a good one. I went and saw him. Me and my buddy, a guy named Jay Stockwell, out in L.A. we went to go see him, and we saw him at the LA Sports Arena about a week before the helicopter crash.
Oh.
And it was Jeff Beck and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, wow.
And there's them together doing a show, and they did the show, and then they did this fierce encore at the end.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was, you know, I mean, that's the Titan stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But they were dueling at the end.
Oh, boy. Oh.
Back and forth. And it's like, okay, which way is this going to go? And, you know, here's my takeaway. Like, Stevie Ray Vaughan was like, he, like, ended off and with this amazing, like, felt thing, and it was awesome. I was like, that's some of the best guitar playing I've ever seen. And then Jeff Beck does this thing after, and he's like, okay, that's not even from Earth. It's like that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother thing altogether. Wow. So it's like you couldn't even you
so they just raise each other's game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Hendrix, in the beginning for me, Hendrix, I thought it was awesome, but of the time, like Hendrix was so beaten down in a bar band kind of way that like I experienced it kind of first through that. Like I heard on the radio, and this is awesome, but then I saw so many bad versions of the stuff covered that I was like, I don't know if I can hear that anymore. And then I went deeper into the catalog and then got into it a lot more. But like, you know, I mean, if in that time in the early 80s or whatever, you couldn't go see a band without them like doing a bad version of Purple Haze. So I just I couldn't deal for a little bit. Yeah, I hear
and the catalog was finite.
That is true. So
there wasn't a new record for me to experience. And
right. So once you get through all of them, I know, I hear you. So you're playing guitar, you're back into it. What happens next? You play in bands all through high school, or?
So I had trouble finding bands.
Yeah. Around here.
Yeah, I had trouble finding it, like jam with people and stuff, but it was that, I mean, I guess it's not unique to me. It's just hard to find people and do all that. So I bounced around and tried to get a band together, and then I ended up, you know, these things would come together for some event in a gym somewhere.
Sure.
And you learn 4 songs and you go do it. So that's kind of how it started. And I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. But I was kind of lost, and like it wasn't like, hey, I want to play music just like this with guys just like this.
Right.
Like I didn't really know, and not sure if I really cared. I just knew I wanted it not to suck.
Yeah.
Which is probably a bar too high at that age.
Well, yeah.
For myself even.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Because I did suck then.
Well, we all did.
You didn't suck.
Well, I guess not.
I was in 7th grade and watched you play drums at Moran Middle School, and I thought you were badass.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So there you go.
Yeah, I thought I was
so
badass
there you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. You didn't suck.
That's funny. Yeah. No, I guess you're right. Oh, well.
More Wallingford crossover.
Yeah. More Wallingford crossover. That's funny. Yeah.
Mr. Rosamondo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the greatest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, I wonder if I can get him in here. That would be crazy.
See, we're just like creating a whole guest list.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know.
Great. That would be great.
Anybody who grew up in Wallingford during that time, Mr. Rosamondo was the best. Got you involved. He taught me between him and Vic. That was it.
Yeah.
Those two. That's all.
Vic I owe so much to Vic. He had a huge influence.
Yeah. Vic Steffens. I'm going to get him in here.
Yeah, but you got to get Vic in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's one of those guys in my life when I didn't know anything. He was cool enough to just answer 5 million questions.
Oh, yeah.
From the eager kid.
Well, you know, like you were saying about your guitar lessons, I took drums from Vic, you know, for years. And that was all because I was kind of figuring it out. But then when I met him, it was like, yeah, he would come to my house. I would wait. I had a stack of records, and he would come in, and I would just drop needle on the record. What's he doing? Okay, all right. And he would show me, and I thought that would be the lesson. Like he tried. Well, like you said, he and it did work. I mean, I was glad. But he took me through his thing, you know. some of which I still use as a teacher. So, I mean, he's really good. But then, then it just got to the point where, like,
drop the needle. What is he doing?
What's this? What's this? And he showed me everything. There was nothing that he didn't know. He was like, oh, okay.
Well, he's a drummer, so you have that unique thing with him. I ended up like, it was the recording in the studio thing where it's like, what's this?
Well,
let's get
through the chronology. So at some point you packed up and went to LA.
So,
Yeah. So how's that all?
You search out trying to find a band, and I ended up with a few guys playing here, and doing demos and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then like the band was kind of breaking up, and like literally it was like someone said, "Screw this. Why don't we just like move to West Coast, and there's like 1 million players there. We'll just find a few players that are good." And like, I think it was C Strand's idea. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. but it was just like, let's go do it because, if we don't do something like crazy like that at 18, it's not going ever. It's not. You're never going to.
Yeah.
Or maybe never, or just not like that.
Yeah.
So it just bailed. Like.
So who all?
It's me and John C. Strand, a guy Mark Ferraro, keyboard player guy, and another singer guy Bob Schwartz.
I don't remember.
Yeah. And then I got to LA, and then like it was I don't know, a few weeks, a couple of months, like, me and John had decided that like, okay, there's 1 million great players here, and we kind of like pulled the plug on the other two guys and kind of went off.
Oh, okay. What year would this have been?
This would be 1980. This would be 80, not 7, 88.
Oh, wow.
88.
So the strip is in full effect.
I mean,
I can't imagine.
I mean, it was like literally like Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
It was full tilt. Full tilt day one.
Yeah.
Like day one, and then from then on every day.
Was there any plan? You guys had a place to live? You had some sort of plan?
No.
Just went?
Just went. I mean, like brought enough cash. Drove.
Wow.
Brought enough cash to, did enough research to figure out like what you need to get an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Did that much research.
Oh, okay.
So had enough money to didn't know before that. It's like first, last deposit. You got to pay off. You got to pay them up front because there's too many scumbags, and like,
yeah, sure.
If they didn't do that, they'd get burnt.
Yeah.
We would have burned them.
Oh, yeah. Why not? Of course. Yeah. Wow.
So we just moved there, like crashed at a hotel for like a day and a half, and looked at 3 places, and like just went into one, 4 guys in like a 1 bedroom,
Wow.
2 guys hide in the car while you sign the lease because like
Yeah.
you're over the occupancy.
Oof.
Sleeping bags the whole bit. Yeah.
Wow. Where?
Hollywood and La Brea.
Okay.
Like right smack in the middle of everything.
So did you walk to the strip? You could, but you didn't.
Depends.
Yeah.
You could. It was kind of a hoof in it. Walk home enough time.
Yeah, I believe that. So you just boom, like here we go.
Yeah, and just dove straight in.
Yeah.
Dove straight in and just went out every night and kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
Saw some cool stuff, I mean,
who were the big shots on the strip at that?
I mean,
moment?
Guns had just really hit.
Okay.
So,
So there was still a whole lot.
Yeah, Guns N'
Roses
had just really hit. There was a lot of that. But there was still a lot of the really cheesy type stuff there, and I didn't realize that, like, I wasn't ready for it to be that cheesy.
Like Sons of Poison, kind of.
That, yeah. There was so much of that it was actually a pretty big turnoff to me on that level, and it never really fit into that thing. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I just, I don't understand why a guy would. I mean, I'm not talking about like gender and identity roles.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, if you're just a dude, like, why are you caked up with makeup and you look like a hugger?
Right.
And
I'd say
that stuff, and people would look at me like
you have to.
I'd say it all the time, and people like, and then you end up in a band, and then you go to a photo shoot with some super photographer, and they're like, "Okay, here's the makeup girl. We're gonna blah blah blah." And I'm like, "What are you?"
Yeah,
like,
No.
Like, what are you doing? Oh no,
I'm pretty enough.
This is what it takes. I go, like, I don't know. Like, I have a picture of Bon Scott on my wall, and he's like missing a tooth.
Right.
Like,
right. He's got
like this
jailhouse tattoo.
This is not. This is not. You know. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, Motorhead was a thing by then. I knew there was another. I knew there were choices.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I can dig that.
I mean, I hated.
Guns didn't make a difference.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was a bit of an element where things got a little tougher, a little bit, like, but it wasn't until like
Black Crowes.
No, it wasn't until Nirvana hit.
Oh, okay.
2-3 years later, where things changed. But then it's like in typical Hollywood style, like 5 minutes after Teen Spirit comes out, every they must have sold out of flannels. Like the week after the record came out.
Yeah. So just like that.
Just like, oh no, we got to do that.
Yeah. Were you still there?
Yeah, I was there then. Wow. I watched it all switch.
Wow. What was that like? Was it like they say? It was just like.
I was like, thank God.
Oh really? Oh good. Okay, that's cool.
Well, because I mean, Soundgarden came out.
Mm-hmm.
Soundgarden came out. Alice in Chains came out. And all these bands, and like all these guys who are with their guy liner are like, oh, so what's all that stuff and everything. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, have you heard that band Soundgarden? They kind of sound like Sabbath. It's great.
Right. Yeah.
Like that was kind of
it's what we were supposed to.
That was my attitude. I was like, this is friggin' awesome.
Yeah, I can dig that for sure.
And I got to see a bunch of those bands like right when they were. Before the records came out and stuff like that, because it was Hollywood, so like they were playing their just finished the record, not out yet shows and those type of things.
Who stood out?
I saw Alice in Chains way back. I forget which club. It might have been the Palladium. It was right around the first record. I saw Pantera really early. Whoa. I saw him with the old guy Blaze, and then saw him with like one of the first LA shows with Phil. I thought that was like, whoa, okay. I was like, I like this.
You were like. You were like, I'm seeing something.
Well, I mean, it's just
hard to know.
I just don't, That's the best way to put this. No, I had to think about this for a second.
All right.
I'm not in this for show business.
Right.
Like, that's not what makes me tick. I dig that thing.
Sure.
Like, I dig that, like, a show and like the curtain comes down and there's a go for it and you entertain the people and all that.
Sure.
But like that without the art part, like, I just don't, I could care less. Like there's just, I mean, I'm not I have no problem. I like pop music and everything, but like, that's not it. I mean, like, look, I mean, you could say popular music is this or that, but there's always the machined stuff that is the stuff that churns out that's pretty obvious. And then there's the stuff that's a little more art and fringe, and I'm always on the little more art and fringe.
Okay. Okay. So, and you felt it feels like, so then grunge was at least a shift.
So I was in a band.
Shift.
I was in a band there, and we were doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, so we could, we were headlining the Roxy, Gazzarri's, the Whiskey,
That's a dream.
That was the real stuff. But like, the band was still, and me too, trying to find themselves. Because it's like, okay, well, we wrote some nice little ditties, and some of it was pretty cool, but the stuff we liked had a lot more substance to it.
Yeah.
And
but you were afraid to.
No, and then we found ourselves like, let's not play these clubs anymore.
Oh, wow.
So we just like started playing other clubs.
Well, at least you found out. Like you say,
we started playing other clubs and like just off the strip and around town, because we're like, the other thing is like Hollywood at that time, like playing was like we could make some money, but it was a pre-sale thing, and it was just all this stuff. It's not like how they rip people off now. It was like, it was a little bit like a business transaction, because there was so many people on the strip. Like, it wasn't hard to get people to go. Like there's tourists like crazy going to all these clubs.
Yeah.
There's all that. So they'd make you commit to a certain amount of tickets.
I see. And you're on the hook for those tickets.
And you're on the hook for those. But they'd sell them, if you're doing good as a band, they'd sell them to you at like half the cost of what the door is. And the place is jumping on most nights. So you end up, the margin difference is what you make. So you sell 250 tickets and you sell them at $15 a piece and you pay $7, and then you actually, make some money. But it's up to you to move them, But if the place is selling out and there's a line out the door, and it's not hard to do. And then they changed. Then all the promoters figured out that like anybody will play and they'll just like make no money. So they just
right. Then it doesn't matter. Yeah, they don't even have to. Whoa. Because they're just happy to be there.
Yeah. So, we switched it up. I mean, we had recorded a bunch of times, had a bunch of spec deals with different labels, had a bunch of cool experiences, like recorded at A&M.
Wow.
Recorded at A&M for A&M or Interscope. We recorded at Sound City.
Wow.
Hey,
that's cool.
For Warner Brothers. Went in the big, we're in B, the big room with the Neve.
Cool.
The Neve in the movie, the whole bit. Went to the Complex, Paramount, like a whole bunch, like all these, like labels would give you these deals. They'd give you like $5,000 of studio time, and they got 90 days to decide whether they're gonna like pick you up or they release the masters to you, like these spec deals.
Oh. So you get a good demo out of it.
You get a good demo, but then like we ended up in a situation where we ended up like with a whole record's worth of stuff, but like I don't know what lawyer do you call to try to like release that record. It went 5 different labels.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So between that and like hating everything going on with music and everything, this was like kind of a little bit pre-grunge. We were kind of had like a prototype grunge thing that was kind of happening in the band, and we ended up finding our manager and a label, and got to make like a real record, and it came out, was distributed by Capitol, and we were the #1 requested band and song on KNAC, the big metal and rock station there for a bunch of weeks. We went on the road. We did a bunch of stuff, but it like ultimately it didn't translate into like a continued thing.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a great experience. I learned how to do all the stuff.
Right. And then your curiosity satisfied to a degree. Just go, okay.
I learned a lot, and it was like, okay, I made like a record that came out that like got on the radio.
What was that band called?
That band was called St. Thomas.
Okay.
Which was the singer's he was Scott St. Thomas. So that ended up being the band.
That's cool. So you found what it would have taken, like you say, to perpetuate it. What would that have taken that you weren't willing to do or didn't?
From a business level, if they just like gave us a budget to do the second record real quick,
I
would have done it.
Yeah.
But they had
it started to be.
They had signed a few other bands, and they had taken on Peter Criss.
Okay.
And so the guys who owned the label were like big Kiss fans, so everything went into that.
Yeah. So just like that.
Yeah.
You're getting there, and then Peter Criss.
Right.
And whatever happened with that, nothing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but so I ended up I kind of hung around in LA and was doing stuff, just kind of bouncing around, figuring out what to do. The one thing I figured out there, though, I went to some auditions and stuff and was like, oh, maybe I'll just like join a band. And I went to a few things, and I figured out like that's not for me. Like, I am not like I'll never be one of these guys that like is a side guy for hire that does
the
all
Rolodex
that stuff.
rocker or whatever.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just don't have it in me. I just, I don't, I mean, I was like, I'll figure out it. Like, is a little bit soul crushing. I could tell. And I was like, I'll figure out other ways to make money than do that.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I mean,
so that decision ended up putting me to make the decision. I was like, okay, that's enough with LA then.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not going to be here hustling for that,
right,
then like, why put up with, like, I wasn't in love with LA.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
I had fun.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like, it was like personal stuff of just, like, I want all 4 seasons, little stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was just not into it. And like, I didn't have money, and like, I hated just the cubicle apartment life there. And then I was, I rented some houses with buddies and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't know. It just didn't. It felt like it was time to bail, and I bailed. You know?
And back you came.
And then I came back here, and I had already started recording my own record when I came back here. I had started doing it. I had recorded at Vic's some tracks.
Okay.
And I had taken the masters back there with me because I was still living there. So this was when the St. Thomas thing had done well, and I was like kind of hanging around waiting for the next tour. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I just started working on a record and recorded a ton of stuff, and then ended up coming back and finishing that stuff with Vic.
Yeah. And did you consider yourself a producer at that time, or you were still learning?
You know what?
Did you have any desire to?
Yeah, I had figured out that, like, I had worked with some really good people. I was lucky to be around some, like, amazing people. Really, really good friend of mine, Nate Kunkel, who's Russ Kunkel. You're a drummer, so Russ Kunkel's son. Of course. He's an amazing, like, Grammy Award-winning engineer. We lived together a bunch. He was doing amazing records, and we were young and hanging out, and I got to, like, be a fly on the wall for a lot of great stuff. So, I mean, he's, like, recording, like, Lyle Lovett and stuff like that's that cool. Like, it's
a pro, like, professional.
Yeah, and Studio C, Lyle's there, and the Black Crows are in A, and, like, I'm hanging around and all, So, like, watching stuff and, like, learning, like, everything, like expanding on some of the stuff I had learned a little bit from Vic, but then, like, watching it at a really high level, and a lot of takeaways from all that. But I figured out it's like I like the tech side, and I always liked gear. Like, I'm a gearhead.
Yeah, I kind of am too.
So, like, it started to, like, come together where, like, I like gear. I'm kind of a gearhead. I got pretty much a handle on how to make this record stuff. I've watched enough, I've been around enough records being made and everything. So I had pretty much gotten to the point where it's like, and I'd done demos for my friends and done all that type of thing. I was kind of at the point where it's like, I don't know how to make every record, but I know how to make a rock record. So I was like, okay, well, I'll start doing that. Between that and, like, kind of staying in the world of gear, maybe I'll be able to, like, eke out an income. But, that wasn't easy, and I started building up the studio, and that's how that all happened. Because it's like, okay, I'll try to record something, do something here. Eventually it's like, well, if I buy a little more gear, I can just, like, record it myself, and then I have it for myself, and then that just snowballs and keeps going and keeps going. And before you know it, you got a whole facility full of a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah, we don't have enough time.
No, we can't get it done.
We can't.
And you know what? And you know what? Regular people out there listening don't want to hear about gear. That's boring.
No, I know.
That's it. That's like our world of, like, geek talk and.
Yeah, well, but I mean, we don't even have. We got 15 minutes, so I gotta figure this out. You're gonna have to come back because you're gonna have to. So you built a studio in Wallingford, the famous Joe Town, which I can't. I mean, I can't. I just can't. I can't even.
We spent a lot of time there. It was a really creative place.
A very creative place in a house. Really cool analog gear. Great engineer, ready to roll all night. I mean, I don't even know how to explain all the stuff that we got into, but it was a tremendous service for me and for a lot of people. Matt Starr would tell you.
I mean, we did a lot of good work there.
Yeah, and we figured it was like, okay, this is how rock records are made right here in our hometown. Sounded as good as anything I ever heard, you know?
And, we were talking about the gear. I mean, I had good gear, but it wasn't the gear.
It wasn't the gear?
It wasn't the gear, no. It's all attitude and approach.
Well, okay.
Like, I mean, I just tried to, you know what? Create, and this is where, I mean, you asked, like, about the production thing and being a producer.
Yeah.
I have a total philosophy on that.
Okay.
And it's not about the gear, and it's not about any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about creating an environment for the right environment for each specific artist where they can thrive and give you what they want, and ultimately they want what you want from them and what they want without them knowing it.
Say that again.
Okay. So it's about create the production thing, rock records,
sure.
Records in general with a recording artist. It's about creating an environment where you can get what you want out of them performance-wise, and they can get what they want out of their performance, but without them realizing they're doing it. It's a real I mean, it's the Jedi mind trick. Like, forget you're in a studio.
Yeah.
Realize you're having fun. Like, just do your thing. And like, I mean, the best compliment I ever got, that I get from people was, wow. I mean, which, would translate into money. They'd be like, oh my God. But, they do a 6.5 hour session, and they'd be like, just not even realize that the time went by, but got a ton done and like some special stuff. And it's the special stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of microphone you have, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. I mean, it's like the performance, the lyric, emotion, meaning, intrinsic value, all that stuff was kind of happening because the environment was set up to allow it to happen.
I see. Yeah, no, it was definitely an environment.
No doubt. And I'm really proud of that time because I mean, like you bringing up Matt, the Flames record is great. It's
one of my favorite records.
It's a great record.
I love that.
I mean, the G Soul stuff was really pretty damn good.
Yeah.
The first American Trash record, Bourbon Experiment, is a formidable.
Yeah. I liked your Joe. I liked Wheel. I was a fan of the first.
Wheel.
Your very first. So you started making records of your own there. I like Wheel.
I did a lot of the overdubs there.
Okay.
But I did that mainly at Vic's. That was the record. That was the record where I had like kind of traveled back and forth with tapes and done it kind of everywhere because I didn't have a place to live.
Yeah. All right, real quick, man. We got to do this again because we got like 10 minutes. All right. I'm gonna tell you who I think Joe is, and then I'm gonna try to describe Joetown in one episode, one thing. All right, so here, what I'm going to say. So here's Joe. This is how it works with Joe. So I'm doing a session for Joe, playing on one of his songs or something, and I'm like, hey, do you want me to do this? And I play something, which is, and then I go, do you want me to do this? It's busier, it has more notes, or do you want this? And Joe comes, silence. And this is like we're on different floors, so you don't know what's going on. And I go, you want me to play this or this, which is busier? Silence. And then the talk back, play the first thing, but more. And then, just it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
That's the other thing. Less is more, but more of it.
But more of it. Less is more, but more of it. And then the other one, I don't even know if you remember.
Like play a simple beat, but step on it right.
Yeah. And then so number 2 was I was doing something for you, and I had all these shakers. We were doing something, and I go. So what do you like? This, this shaker, this one, or this, or these maracas? Again, silence, and then I hear steps, boom, 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 coming down. Comes into the booth. Picks up all the things, puts them all in my hand, and goes, that. So there I am with everything. Like, I can't decide all of them. Yeah, it was so funny. I'm like, yeah, that's okay.
And it
like,
sounded like 4 people
and
playing
it was
percussion.
Great. Yeah, it was great. But in my mind, I'm like, this, or this. No, all. How about all? I'm like,
all the above is still an answer.
So funny. And then all I'm going to say about Joetown, there's too much to say, but Joetown was the kind of place where when it was starting to get over, when we knew there was we had this humongous party that I barely remember. But do you remember we threw the monitor out of the second story window, and it got stuck in the tree.
Right.
And stayed there for 4 months. Hanging. I would drive by. I lived around the corner, and I would go, "Yep, still there." Like we decided why? I don't remember. I don't even know if I was actually there when it went out the window. But it was like
no matter.
We wanted to throw it
the
onto
flames,
the sidewalk.
like ended up on some big show.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They had a party after. I think.
Yeah.
I think Crivaloon threw a drum over it too.
Okay.
I think there was a drum, but I had to clean that up because.
Yeah. Well, this is Main Street of Wallingford, so we're like trying to throw things out of the house into the street or the sidewalk. But I remember the computer. It was like it went, and then the cord got tangled in the branches, and it was just hanging.
And you got to remember when it was like computers were big then.
Oh yeah. No, monitor was like a TV tube,
right?
And I would drive by. Yep, still there. And then one day it wasn't, and I was like, oh, it fell. Like eventually, finally, the season.
Oh, I got to clean that up.
Yeah, and then it was in pieces. But yeah, the computer monitor. Yeah, man. I don't know what else we got.
It was fun times there.
Oh,
I'm really proud of everything that happened there.
I could never. I mean,
I wouldn't want to. I'm glad I stopped.
Oh, really? Okay.
I do miss it a little bit, but I did figure out. It was hard. The money part was hard.
Yeah.
And the studio business is difficult. It's a pain in the neck between scheduling and the hours and everything. It gets a little weird. And then I realized, like, to make this really crank and keep it going all the time, there's no chance I could ever have a life other than just this.
Right.
Like, there's no...
Right. When are you going to make your records? Not enough hours in the day.
That started to happen where it's like, I can't even, like, get my own records done.
Yeah.
And
then you're
I'm
like, what's the
why
point?
am I even doing this?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I can't schedule my own records because I got to have so many sessions going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Like, that I'm actually, like, thinking about going to a different studio to record my own records. Like, why am I even doing this?
You know what?
And nothing against the town of Wallingford, but they had made it kind of clear they weren't into the studio.
Well, can you, now that we're adults, do you blame them a little?
Actually, there was only like very, very small amount of, like
it wasn't purely residential area. Let's
two
put it
crazy
that way.
nights out of 365 a year was kind of it. I mean, it really wasn't that much, but whatever.
Well, I know that I would imagine, I don't know who all would ever hear this that remembers those days, but at least speaking for myself, I'm grateful because I would have not had the chance to record on 2-inch tape, all analog through a console with Bays, with an excellent engineer.
And we got to give props to Basil.
Oh, yeah.
Basil Grabowski. He was, I met him. He was just an unbelievably great guy and such a talented engineer. Yeah. Actually, that's the saddest part of it all. We had something really going, and Bays was really special, and the studio closing probably messed him up in that regard on that track of his career. I mean, he already had other regular career, but I mean, it's tough. There was talented people.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad. I appreciate that you did that, because in that window we got to make. I mean, I would come in and do my little half-ass little things, but those are meaningful.
Did a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, but it was like, okay, this is
Buzzy Neon, baby.
Buzzy Neon, yeah. All right, real quick. But thanks for Joetown. I mean, a lot of people came through that. We're glad. Even though it sucked for you, like I said, it was at your expense.
There was a great run in it.
Yeah. I'm saying we're lucky that we got a lot of things done in that window.
I'm lucky too. I was able to do it. I'll never, it was there was a stretch where it was kind of amazing. And my wife says some great things, great lines. One is, things are only special when they're special. And It's true, because she's a theater director, and like those things and those productions are finite, and if you don't like get what you're going to get out of it while it's happening, you don't. It stops.
Yeah,
and
right,
it's
right.
gone.
It's over. It's over.
But with recording and an ongoing thing like that, you don't realize it when you're in it.
That's why we're recording it.
Right.
All right, in 5 minutes. Desert Island album, is it possible? A few.
Oh, I can get down to a few.
Okay, go.
I mean, Exile on Main Street.
Sure.
It really is.
Sure.
I mean, do I get to do like best ofs and anthologies?
Yeah.
Oh, Sly and the Family Stone, anthology. You know.
Yep.
Some of the greatest music ever.
Yep. Agreed.
Assuming that there's beer on the island, I'm gonna go with Women and Children First.
Oh, that's my favorite Van Halen record.
Yeah,
third one.
And like that's a good start.
Yeah,
and I could go
with
on
that.
and on.
Yeah, I know,
and on,
we all
but
could.
like
I would go with that.
But those there, that would get me through the first few months.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was a Women and Children First 2, and Women and Children First.
I love Women and Children First.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's the most reckless of them all.
I think so.
I mean, that just sounds, that's a barbaric record.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. If you could only eat one food every day for the rest of your life, what would it be? Can you think of it?
Ooh, one food for the rest of my life. Well, I mean, it's provincial. I'd probably go with pizza.
Sure. Yeah, that's what everyone says around here. Starting to realize that's a stupid question in Connecticut.
It's a good question. I mean, I like a lot of different foods. I have a wide palate on stuff.
Do you?
Yeah.
I wish I did. I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I have a wide. I wish that I ate like my music. I have a humongous musical palate. I'm adventurous. I'll get into anything. But yeah, I envy people that could just eat, that are interested in eating anything. I just can't swing like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm way into it.
That's cool. That's good. That's a good way to be. I think that's cool. All right. You know what? Let's get out of here before we got to do this again, because we barely even.
This is fun.
Yeah,
thank
we're
you.
trying to
thank you for asking.
Oh, you were on the short list. Yeah, no, don't you worry about that. We'll do this again. I always say that, but we should, because I feel like we didn't even.
You and I have a history where there's a lot of depth, and we've had a lot of deep musical and life discussions. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, we kind of like clicked off like a lot of obvious stuff, but we've talked about so many things with all this stuff. Like we didn't even get into, like we could spend an hour on 70s hi-hat, like what you do, but we'd have to have Matt too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So, in conclusion, first of all, again, but now this gives me another idea of specialty shows. I'm starting to think we'll do that.
70s hi-hat.
Round table.
Round
you know
table.
what I mean? Like, that'll be a real show. And if no one watches it, who cares? What do we care? But I'm just like, I want it to be in the archives. So maybe we will get Matt up here and we'll get into it.
That'd be fun.
That would be really fun. All right. John Peckman podcast. I'm sad to go, actually. This was not enough time. But we're trying to keep it to an hour so that we can end up on cable. This is the plan.
Right on. I'm going to do a shameless plug.
Please.
Joetown.com.
Joetown.
JOETOWN.com.
All things Joe.
There you go. That was easy. Big plug.
Anything that we did not cover, you can find there. This is the John Peckman podcast. I'm John Peckman, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland. Just start coming over the bridge. Come over the bridge, start looking left. Joe Delaney was here. He was here. Wallingford Zone. We're Wallingfordites. Thank you. I really appreciate you being here. We'll do this again.
Thank you. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, man. Thanks for listening, kids. We'll see you.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.